What is up, NFL fans? It's your boy Kevin Phillip Fox coming at you live from his mother's attic. And we are doing this legit football NFL podcast come hell or high water. I'm in New York. I'm here to see Bills Giants. I couldn't be happier, but I'm not doing the show alone. You already know my boy Adrian Revito's coming at you all the way from down under. Adrian, how the hell are you?
How am I? How are you? I really like this music. How are you? You must be so pumped for the game.
Dude, I can't wait, man. And I'll tell you what, you guys want to hear a really fun little Bills Mafia anecdote? In the years where Tyrod Taylor was our starting quarterback, I didn't go to a single Bills game because I was in theater. I was doing a lot of shows, a lot of Sunday performances. Was never able to go to never able to go to a game. Never saw Tyrod play. So to get to see him play in person finally, after he's the quarterback who broke the playoff drought, and he's very beloved in Bills Mafia.
I thought that was a shot at Tyrod Taylor, but you're right. He broke a huge drought for you.
Yeah, he broke the 20-year playoff drought for the Bills. I actually love Tyrod Taylor, to be honest. He was never like good enough to win a Super Bowl, but he did get us into the playoffs. So I always have love for him.
Very nice. Yeah, man. But I'm doing well as well. I think I come to you, a man, contemplating time, because after months and months of us, trying to pump out good content but get ready for the season.
We're
almost at the third part done. That's sad, man. That makes me think about life and how fast it's going.
Dude, it's really sad, bro. No, I don't even want it to be real. I don't want us to be a third of the way done with the season, man. It's too soon.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I think that's the beauty of NFL is every game counts so much because it's a short season, but it's also what sucks because it's over quick.
Yeah. Well, and that's the beauty. It's just the NFL is just like life in that sense, it's here and then it's gone, and that's the beauty of it, right?
Here for the philosophy.
Now that we're getting super existential. I want to give a quick shout out to Jade Dragon in the chat. We love you, Jade Dragon. I would start DeMarcado because Sanders isn't playing, so definitely start DeMarcado, and then I would go with Goddard for tight end because Goddard,
Osborne.
I think he's ready to break out, and then Osborne. Yeah, there's rumors inherit the J-Jeff role, so I think Osborne is not a bad investment there. And then David, 49ers look pretty good. They sure damn do, David.
You ain't wrong.
They sure do, man. I love it. Well, Adrian, without further ado, we got a lot to get to today, so why don't we dive in with our headlines from last week? Just an absolute onslaught of major injuries to great NFL players, starting with, I'll say first and foremost, this one's not season ending, but it has the most implications league-wide, fantasy-wide. Justin Jefferson of the Minnesota Vikings, I believe it's a hamstring. Unbelievable. Correct. IR, right? So that's a minimum of 4 games he's going to miss. Adrian, how do you see this changing the NFC landscape?
Well, this is bigger than most IRs because contract year, they didn't get it done. Now, if they lose, let's say they lose because they're 1-4 right now. They lose 3 of those games. They go to 8th of those 4. They go to what? 2 my maths is terrible. 2-7.
Yeah.
What's the rush to come back? Like, what's the rush to get him back at all?
Yeah.
Like the season's done. Kirk's on the way out. A good draft pick's only going to help you. So, I don't look. It's a big one. The Viking season was already a little bit cooked, but they become just unbelievably less interesting to watch without Justin Jefferson on the field.
Yeah.
So that really sucks for them. And for Vikings fans, it might be a long season because if you don't get him back for 5, 6, 7, 8 games, he's got no. I don't think Justin Jefferson has to prove that he's an elite receiver anymore. So he's got no motivation to come back early or push himself to get back early. Kevin O'Connell mentioned something about saving him from himself. And it's a big one.
It's brutal. And it really does beg the question, is Kirk Cousins next? Is that domino the next one to fall? There's a lot of rumors, Adrian, about Kirk Cousins being traded. Do you believe in those rumors, or is this a where there's smoke, there's fire situation, or is it all just BS?
Well, there's no. I think from all the rumors, they are exactly just that. There's no reporting that they're taking calls or anything that I've seen. I know the Jets have been floated. I know the Falcons have been floated. Would love to see him on the Falcons. Actually, I'd love to see a real competent quarterback on the Falcons. The Jets, I think, when they talked about Carson Wentz and they talked about Matt Ryan, I know the owner was not. They said we've spent all this money on Aaron Rodgers, we're not spending any more, kind of thing. So I don't know about the Jets and you'd have to give up draft capital to get half a season really of Kirk Cousins. So
yeah, it would be almost impossible to acquire Kirk at this point. For most teams, I think he'd come with a very hefty asking price. And then you'd probably want to extend him, right? You probably wouldn't want to bring him over without some sort of a guarantee that he was going to stick around. So I don't
Yeah.
think it's likely he gets moved. Um, Anthony Richardson, young rookie quarterback, one of the most exciting players in the league so far, setting the league on fire with the Colts. Very sad to see him continuously getting hurt. This is the third time in his rookie year in 5 games getting banged up. Adrian, not excited, not great news for Colts
Lit
fans.
Little worried about this one. Because he's so exciting, and we don't want a glass bones like exciting player. He's the, as you mentioned, he's been injured a lot. I know Trevor Lawrence told him to calm down and take a hit. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, look, I don't know how you feel about it. To me, uh, this one's bigger than just this injury, because if he keeps going injuries, we always say biggest ability is availability.
Mm-hmm. That's a real saying, and it holds a lot of weight in today's NFL. So I'm not at all mad at the stance that he needs to start cleaning up his act a little bit. I mean, he might. Yeah, I don't think he's a glass bones prospect just yet. It's so early, and a lot of
Mm,
his injuries are kind of. He's taking hits he shouldn't take, and that's a big part of it. Achan officially IR at this point. We have potential IR listed, but he's officially on the IR. Which sucks because he's a fantasy darling. I have him in almost all my leagues because I was a huge believer in his. Watching his breakout, Adrian, has been poetry in motion. This guy is so good with the football in his hand, man. He can read blocks. He's so fast. He has good vision, and we're gonna be without Achan for 4 weeks.
yeah, man. And that fast part is probably the key on a Dolphins offense that just like feeds off speed. Uh,
Predicated all on speed, right?
Yeah, and he just fit it and I think that if I remember right, the first week or two, and then it wasn't amazing. Then he sort of broke out. I can't remember his big game was that 70 burger.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
yeah, it is. He was one of the more exciting prospects, particularly at running back. If your name's not Bijan Robinson, he was
Right.
next in line. So that one hurts. That's and I'll take one on the chest there as the scab producer. I didn't update that to IR, but he's
Oh, no
officially
worries.
an IR.
Yeah, and then the last one, which you did personally
I'm
apologize to
sorry
me
about
for
this one.
continuing to include my favorite players in this segment, in the injury wrap up, but um, yeah, no, out for the year. It's looking. I'm hearing broken leg is the unofficial prognosis. Fibula, right? I know I'm losing service a little bit.
Yeah, a
ACL
little bit.
to be intact. Good stuff. Happy to hear that. Um, but horrible to imagine the Bills without one of their captains, one of their best players on defense.
Yeah, that hurts.
Definitely a little bit of a shot to those Super Bowl hopes. I'll be honest. It's. I don't want to be too doom and gloom. I'm glad this show is happening 5 days after the injury and not one day after the injury because my levels of depression have shifted a little bit. I'm trying to be a little bit more hopeful and optimistic.
That's healthy. That's good.
Yeah, Sean McDermott is just calling a hell of a defense so far, man. He's just lights out. The defense has been playing so well, and I'm hoping it's an I'm hoping it's an insert player here kind of role. I know Milano's irreplicable given that he's an all-pro player,
Yeah, he's fantastic.
but it's definitely so it definitely hurts pretty bad to we also lost Daquan Jones to a torn pec. He's been playing at an all-pro level this season. Tre'Davious White, obviously, we talked about last week. So tough, tough news for Bills fans in general. We're kind of reeling right now, but a lot of people say, and I believe this to be true. This is what Brian McFadden said to me last week before the waiver wire show. He said, "If 17's healthy, you guys have a shot at the Super
Yeah,
Bowl." So, got to keep that in perspective a little bit.
that's fair. And who's the next man up? I just had a quick look. AJ Klein. So
He's okay. AJ Klein, Terrell Dodson, Dorian Williams, Terrell Bernard has been playing. Edmonds replaced playing better than Edmonds ever played.
mm,
So we replaced Edmonds there when we thought he might have been irreplaceable. Let's see if I don't exactly think there's any chance Milano's replaceable, but let's see if he can, if
you
whoever
never
goes
know.
in there, Dorian Williams, AJ Klein, Terrell Dodson, if any of them can go out there and make some plays in I believe they call it the rover role. It's kind of like the player on McDermott's defense who has the most freedom.
Oh
You
yeah.
kind of it's the player on the defense who's sort of just trusting their instincts and playing the missile role.
Mm.
Milano just does that so well. So it'd be hard pressed to find somebody who does it half as good, but they'll try. And here we go. Give me the crow drop.
Oh, hold on. Let me get it ready. That's my bad.
And this is huge because the Broncos are looking like one of the most
Love that
garbage
drop.
teams in NFL history. We saw them on Thursday night last
Oof.
night. Not really much of a game to talk about, but the Monday night game last weekend, my goodness, Adrian, are the Broncos just hapless? Do they have anything left? I said
The
medium well in week 3, and I'm
Yeah,
looking like a genius.
you are, and I've been on the Broncos train since the offseason, really thinking that they were going to turn it around. Man, that was woeful, and the woeful. Oh, good lord! So, and we're going to get to the TNF recap, but woeful TNF. They're talking about a fire sale. They're talking about trading people off. I really hope the Packers get in on that. But it's Russell Wilson is just playing like hot garbage at the moment.
Yeah. No, it's not great, man. It's not great. There's really nothing going on whatsoever. Takeo Luna in the chat appropriately calling Adrian out for having the worst take ever of being pro Broncos. We still love you, Adrian. I'm
I'll take
loving the
it.
chat.
I'll eat the crow.
Armand is talking about Steve Smith and the Jerry Judy stuff. It's all ugly. You know, there's a lot of discourse about it because there's the perspective of Judy's was a high draft pick and he hasn't panned out and he's been kind of sus and he hasn't really tried and yada yada. And then there's the perspective of like, should former pro athletes, should former pro players be talking about current pro players with such disdain and such dismay and such negativity?
Mm.
It's kind of like the code that we talked about with the coaches with Sean Payton and Nate Hackett, and Sean Payton betrayed that, and you know he ate his crow, and now we're kind of looking at Steve Smith and Jerry Judy with this exchange that's very volatile. Adrian, you got to take on it.
Look, not really. I mean, you're right. There's a certain code, but I think once people hit the media, they've got to have their hot takes, that fired up personality where they're losing their donuts. You know, they're sort of
Yeah,
kind of like that. What's the word? The not Colin Coward, Skip Bayless, and that like
yeah,
sort of going scorched earth on players. It's a personality. Sometimes it's a bit of a manufactured bit, and it is what it is, right?
yeah, yeah,
And you just got to hope you can back it up because in this case, Nate Hackett, he was on the receiving end of it. Now he's got a game ball. Sean Payne's getting told to stay humble at the end of the game by
yeah.
Coach Salah. So it was.
Pretty
I think.
cool.
Look, I don't love Hackett, but as a the resident second favorite Jets fan here, I won't take him on spot. Uh, it was nice to see him get a win, and it's nice to see them kind of keep their hopes barely alive. I'm not saying they're going well, but Aaron Rodgers is already walking without a crutch, and he's talking about coming back for the playoffs if they get there. So I'd like to see them get there. I think that'd be a hell of a story.
I think the Jets have a puncher's chance at a wild card spot.
Yeah,
It's going to be hard because, you know, there's the likes of Miami, Buffalo, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Indianapolis, Jacksonville. Like the AFC is so loaded. If they were in the NFC, I'd like their chances a lot more.
mm,
Um, or not in the East, where there was a spot where if they go 8-9, 9-8, they can win the division. Unfortunately, they're going to have to win, I think, at least 9 games to make the playoffs. Now they're 2-3, so they're not super far out of it, and they do have some cupcake games on their schedule. So yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up, Adrian, because 5 games through the season, I think it's okay to start thinking about the NFL in a little bit more of a holistic.
totally.
Um, it's I think it's okay to start talking about
Oh,
the
you're frozen
season,
for a second.
sort of a season long idea. Yeah. Oh,
You're good
am I
now.
back? Am I good?
Yeah, you're
Yep.
good.
Dude,
Yep.
that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. So I think we're a hair behind, but
Yeah,
I'm catching up. Hopefully,
that's
are
okay.
we? All right,
No,
there
we're
we go.
good.
So Thursday night football recap: Broncos at Chiefs. Kind of everybody thought it would be a snooze fest, but they thought it would be at least a snooze fest where one of the teams would put up some points and give us a show.
Yeah,
What
this
a
is a rough game.
disgusting thing to subject my eyeballs to. Seriously, man, they were begging me to stop at halftime. They were like, "You can turn this off. You're a grown man. You have free will." And I'm just learning I don't.
We actually
Um,
have some live audio from the game. Hold on a second. Just a second. It's coming. There it is.
yeah,
Yeah.
that is
Okay, yeah, that was
exactly.
live
It's
audio from the
so
game.
bad, and it's like, it's one thing. I mean, it's Patrick Mahomes. We all expect like, oh, he's gonna go slice up a defense and give us some no look passes and hang 30 on a team, division rival, prime time. Dud. 19-8. horrible game. Mahomes didn't play that great. He played
No,
okay. Kelsey was the star of the game far and away. The Chiefs defense looked better than we've ever seen them, but how can you really tell if it's their defense or if it's Russell Wilson just being Russell Wilson at this point?
wow. I mean, Russell Wilson, 95 yards, 13 to 22, two interceptions. Like, I mean, part of that is the defense, and part of that, I've been saying actually, I've kind of been on the beat of Russell Wilson is not the issue, and the
Mm.
offense is not good, but they're average.
Mm-hmm.
But they were terrible. There was ints everywhere. Actually, Mahomes threw an uncharacteristic. His interception was pretty disgusting, to be honest with you. And I think he almost had a second. Uh, they struggled on third downs, the Chiefs. There was just one TD pass, 4 field goals. It was really like, I mean, it was not a pleasant. These Thursday night football games, something's got to happen. Like that, we've got to get
Yeah,
something going.
seriously, it's unbelievable. The
Yeah,
quality dip.
and look, Javonte Williams went for 52 yards, 10 carries, 52 yards. He looked okay. I stand by my take that he's not going to be as good as everyone thought he was going to be.
And who?
Um, Javonte Williams.
Oh, I hope so, man. I really feel like it's health. I mean, he had some nice little runs.
Yeah,
He broke some tackles. He pushed through
he looked
contact a little
okay.
bit. Yeah.
He looked okay. Yeah.
Eye test is positive right now, I would say.
Yeah, but yeah, I mentioned that they might have a fire sale. Um,
Yeah.
and if they do, look, I'd love to see the Packers go after Judy. I still think he's a really talented dude, even though he
Yeah.
struggles with injury.
He needs to get traded. It's just so
Yeah.
bad there. The vibes are so bad.
And they just announced 6 hours ago they released Frank Clark after only a couple games. So
Wild.
it is and I'm going to enunciate here so people know I'm not cursing. It is a spit show over in Denver,
Hell
and
yeah.
and Sean Payton talked about him eating some crow. It's disappointing because like it would have been a really good narrative for him to come in, fix the team, and have Russell Wilson, because as much as we want good football, right? And Russell Wilson used to be really exciting to watch. He had this beautiful deep ball. He was amazing on his legs, and
Yep.
it sucks to see. I'll be honest with you, because I've always been a Russ fan, and
Yeah.
he's just tanked.
It's really sad, man. And I think Denver has to start thinking about creative ways that they can get out of all this. I mean, they're not that far removed from a championship. What is it, 7 years? So, I mean, I don't hate the idea of just eating your crow now and getting it over with, because if you continue to try to if you continue to try to make this work with Peyton and Russell and the dumpster fire that you just clearly are, you run the risk of just falling so far behind the 8 ball. Like, I know it's like maybe not super sexy or exciting to hear, but I think the sooner you start to tear down, the better. Honestly.
Yeah, that's fair. A couple call outs in the chat. We did get the Red Queen showing up all over the screen again. I know Pro Football Demon did a live watch and he had a counter. I don't know what it got up to, how
Oh
often they
wow.
showed it. Insane.
Mhm.
And Takeda saying that we don't think Sean Payton's play style works in today's NFL. Look, I think he just hit gold with Drew Brees, and
Right.
and it worked. It was kind of like a Belichick Brady where it was a perfect storm and it worked well. But maybe he's not the coach we all thought he was, or maybe it's just maybe he does need to burn it down to the ground because he's always been a smart coach.
I was pretty shocked when they went out and mortgaged their future for him. I mean, they wanted D'Amico Ryans. We all know that D'Amico Ryans was their first choice. He picked the Texans, and he's done wonderful things for them. So, I mean, I'm not too inspired, man. I don't have a lot of hope. So if I'm Denver, the sooner I rip that Band-Aid off, in my opinion, the better.
Yeah.
This season is over. Homer Hill, one of my favorite segments, Adrian. I will start with the absolute puke fest that was London, 6:30 in the morning. I'm at the Starbucks drive-through at 5:45, brother. And let me tell you, if I could go back in time and not have woken up for that game, I might do that.
You are ruining people's day, and I'm living for it.
There it is, man. And you know what, man? My team didn't wake up for the game either. And that's just the truth, okay? There's all this talk about, was it fair? Oh, Jacksonville's been there for 2 weeks. They're acclimated. Buffalo gets there Thursday night. Some sports scientist told them you get there as late as possible and you fight the clock, the body clock change and yada yada. Man, I don't know about any of that. It's football at the end of the day, and Denver or Jacksonville punched him in the mouth, man. They didn't show up. Straight up.
And yeah, it's a fair call. Like, and Jacksonville's been there for a while, but these are pro athletes, and this is something we don't deal with here in Australia. The time difference from one state to another maxes out at, I think, 2 or 3 hours. Like,
Yeah.
in America, they're flying all over the shop and time differences change.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's kind of didn't come to play. And Jacksonville took advantage, and that's all it
Yeah.
is.
And I'm not saying that they didn't have the upper hand for sure. I mean, they definitely it was clear which team was adjusted. It was
Mm.
clear which team was comfortable, but I mean, you have to fight through the adversity that you're given any given Sunday in the NFL. And I'm not sure, did you catch the game, Adrian? Were you watching?
I only watched the highlights, I'll be honest with you.
It was tough, man. There were some ticky tack penalties called against Buffalo, and I'm never one to blame the refs, but I've seen better officiating, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's fair.
Can't say definitively if I've seen worse, but I have
Mm.
seen better, that's for sure. But it was not, but none of that matters. Josh Allen woke up, came to play late, but you gotta play 4 quarters in the NFL. I mean, anytime, anytime, and against the Jets, they didn't play a fourth quarter. So, if you take their 2 losses and you remove the 1 quarter that they were trashing, that team's 5-0, but that's the story of an NFL season, right?
Correct.
And how about your
Uh,
Packers? What are we looking at over there?
So,
What happened? Two
oh my
primetime games
god.
in a row that they pooped the bed in?
Yeah, that was, and I'd hate to see the old Kirk Cousins narrative start that he can't play in prime time. But look, you know what? It was a rough game to watch. It was Jordan Love's first terrible game. Comparatively to sort of calm people down, he's playing about the same as Aaron Rodgers' first 5 games, about the same as Brett Favre's first 5 games. I know he's not a new quarterback, but he's a young quarterback and it's his first year as a starter. So
Right.
I'm going to say, and this is the people in the chat. Homer Hill is for you as well. Jump in on the chat on your teams.
Please.
My Packers at the moment suck. This year doesn't look like it's going to be a good one, but I'm still hopeful of it. So
Are they 2 and 3?
2 and 3.
That's
And then
good.
I started to think, I'm like, who are my other teams? And I'm like, all right. So I was kind of high on the Broncos. They suck now. I was high on the Jets. Aaron Rodgers tears his Achilles. High on the Falcons. Desmond Ritter sucks. Like, I feel
Hey,
like
Ritter
maybe
had
I'm
a good
cursing.
game. Ritter had a
He
good
did
game last week.
his best game last week. I will pay that. They finally kind of got Kyle
Carved
Pitts
him
a bit
up.
involved. Yeah.
Yeah.
But let's see him string it together. I just feel like maybe I'm cursing some of these teams. And thank you to Cato. Look, I'm not hating on Love. I agree with you. He's only 5 games in. He needs time to develop. He's making mistakes that someone new to the game makes. And he's had some really good moments as well. So that's kind of what I look for. I'm like, I look for something to be excited for, and there's something there. But this year is going to be a long year for Packers fans, and you know what? And they might, if they don't get to the playoffs, they might be Hard Knocks. Not might be, the Hard Knocks eligible next year. That'd be interesting.
There you go. That would be cool. Hey, don't count them out, brother. Don't count them out. It's early.
No, I'm
They're
not
probably fighting for a wild card because Detroit is looking like one of the best teams in the league. So don't get too down on them. I mean, that particular game. I mean, that's the Raiders, bro. When they lost to the Lions, everybody was like, "Oh, shucks, they're the new kings in the North." But you get beat like that by the Raiders, Jimmy G, on prime time.
And there was just like some, there was some terrible play, and I'll talk about it when I let loose on the Raiders, because the Raiders didn't win that game. The Packers lost it.
I couldn't agree with you more, brother. And that being said, Adrian, are we about ready to get into our Week 6 preview?
Let's hit it.
Dude, and who's starting, you or me?
This is on me.
All right, let's go. Kick us off, Adrian.
All right, so Panthers at Dolphins. The Panthers offense, has not been fantastic. Their pass ranks 25th. Their rush ranks dead last. They are 0-5. And Bryce Young's in a tough situation. Bryce Young is kind of, Caleb's dad is talking about he'll only play at certain teams because you don't want to put him into a terrible situation. We've seen it with Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
And there's a myriad of quarterbacks that have gone into a bad situation. Now, I hope that Bryce Young doesn't fall to that same trajectory. Frank Reich is meant to come in and bring an element of an easier offense that he can just pick up, and it hasn't been that way. So this sucks. For the Panthers to now come up against the Dolphins, because the Panthers lost 3 road games by double digits, and the Dolphins have scored 101 points in their last 2 home games. So if I'm a betting man, I'm covering the spread, and that's a big spread, probably the biggest one this year so far. I don't know if we've seen a 14 yet.
I think Bills Giants is going to be 14.
We'll get to that. You are correct. Yeah, you're right. And then on the other side, Dolphins really hate that H-Han.
H-Han, yeah. Heartbreaking.
Yeah, that one's hurts. So look, most it'll go in. He'll be okay. And they're against the 28th ranked rush defense, so it's a bit of a mismatch. I think McDaniel's offense can kind of hurt you in a multitude of ways. And yeah, that's why they lead the NFL in scoring. They lead the NFL in passing. They lead the NFL in rushing. Their offense is absurd.
Yeah.
Interesting game. Interesting game for the Dolphins to just smash it out. I would say 40-13 Dolphins way.
Oh, I like
Yeah,
that. You're
well,
going high. I think, look, Miami's defense isn't exactly anything to sneeze at, but I don't particularly think they're anything special either. And I kind of think that the Panthers might have some opportunities here, especially in garbage time, to put some things together. So I think what I'm looking at here is there will be an explosion from the Dolphins, no doubt, but I think the Panthers might put some points on the board. I still like Miami to cover. I think I'll go with 45-24.
I'm going to take note of this because I always forget to take note of your ones.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it.
45-24, so some garbage time points. Yeah, look, that could happen. I agree that could happen because this could, but this has all the makings of a blowout.
Oh,
Because I agree,
100%.
the defense is average, but
It's gonna be a dog walking for sure.
you don't need to be the 49ers to stop the Panthers at the moment.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So next up on the docket, we have my game. We have Ravens at Titans. Titans are 4-point home favorites or home underdogs. And that's pretty interesting, right? Because they're pretty well coached. They've been playing well so far this season. The Ravens are kind of one of those teams that they're definitely more of an on paper juggernaut than they've looked so far. They haven't really lived up to the billing quite yet. Lamar Jackson still looks like Lamar Jackson. He's definitely an outstanding runner of the football and exciting and electric. And I will say this, his passing numbers are a bit deflated given the horrendous performance of his pass catchers.
Oh yeah,
an unbelievable amount of drops for the Ravens. I believe they lead the NFL. They had, I want to say, 5 or 6 big ones last week. Definitely not great. And there it is. And that's the game show sound effect for you nailed it. So I absolutely love the Ravens this year to be a good team. I think they're going to start showing that they're better than we think. And I have said that I think the Titans they're kind of a dead man walking. I'm not really sure why they're still trotting out this expensive roster when they're very, very far from contending, in my opinion. So I will pick the Ravens to win this game and cover that 4-point spread. But, it's never pretty with the Ravens. Adrian, I always think, like, I'm going to watch the Ravens. I'm going to watch Lamar. He's so exciting. He's so electric. And I turn on the game, and it's the fourth quarter, and it's like 13-10. It's just it's the kind of games that they play. I think I'll go with a final score of 24-16 here.
All right, 24-16.
And I'm not really, I want to be more excited about the Ravens than I am. This is more against the Titans, even though they have had good games this season. Correct me if I'm wrong. Are they 2-2? Do they have a bye?
Is it weird that I couldn't tell you?
Let's take a look.
I'll get the answer for you. So 2-3. No, 2-3.
2-3. So yeah, so they're not anything special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those drops killed them, and against the Steelers, they lost. So that's another example of, like, the Steelers didn't win, the Ravens lost. There was some drops, particularly in the red zone. There was a drop on in the end zone. So I'm with you on this. I actually look, the Titans you're right in saying that they're well coached, and they're just a weird team. They're actually a hard team to figure out at the moment. The Titans, you don't know if they're going to come out and blow out a team or just absolutely drop the ball.
Right.
I'm actually going to pick them for the upset on this one.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not going to be a high scoring game. I didn't pre-think of a score, but let's go.
Gotta cook it up. Gotta cook it up live, bro.
It's on the spot. So let's
I love it.
Go 24-21.
24-21. You heard it here first. Adrian Revito has the Titans beating the Ravens. That's an upset special right there. We need an upset special sound effect.
We do, don't we?
We totally do.
How about this?
Wow! That's pretty funny and weird, though. I'm a little scared. That's a good Halloween sound effect.
That's one for Chase. Those 12-year-old kids screaming were.
Right? Chase, the homie. Adrian, take us away with the next matchup.
All right. The 49ers at Browns. This got a little less. So it was Watson questionable. He's now been downgraded to out. That hurts the Browns. Not that he's been playing out of his mind, but you're going against the 49ers team that are just like dominating. I would say the best team in the NFL at the moment. I don't know if you'd agree with me on that.
Oh, without question. Yeah, they're the number one.
So PJ Walker's going to be starting, and I think that's smart because Dorian Thompson-Robinson did not did not do well in his one start, and I think that
No,
they need
sir.
to protect him a little bit because he's an exciting prospect. They shipped off Josh Dobbs because he looked so good in preseason, and then now he played his first game and he did not do well. So PJ Walker's coming in. I don't know if you guys remember PJ Walker had that amazing Hail Mary to DJ Moore on the Panthers on to win the game. I can't remember who they were playing against, but that's about his highlight reel.
Big fan of PJ Walker's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So look, they're coming off a bye. Hopefully they're a little bit more prepared. David Njoku's questionable with that face burner. Did you see the face burn picture? Oh,
It's
it
so
was
bad. It's so hard to look at. I feel so
horrendous.
bad for him. Poor
Yeah.
guy.
What is interesting here, why this is not such of a car crash game, is that despite the offense, is that Brock Purdy hasn't really faced a defense like this. I know they played the Cowboys, who just laid an absolute egg, but I do feel like the Browns are probably
dud,
one of the better coached defenses on it. And statistically, I think they're third. I actually don't know the exact ranking, but it'd be good to see Brock Purdy a little bit uncomfortable. The Giants did it for a half. And yeah, look, Randy Gregory will be playing. He joins Bosa, Armstead, Hargrave. Like they're so loaded on defense that this is probably going to be more of a defensive game. But Purdy, and I'm blanking on who said it, as David Marazzo said, Fortnite's looking pretty good. And Purdy, if you watch him, he's copping a lot of flack for being a product of the system. But if you watch him, he's just throwing dimes, man. I don't know if you've been seeing his games.
No, dude, I've watched every game, and I have to be honest with you, bro. I'm so frustrated with the narrative that Purdy is a system QB. Like, I don't like maybe that's just looked at with the wrong lens, but throw that whole thing out, bro. Brock Purdy balls out, and when you watch him, it's not just dink and dunk and go through my progressions and we've called it a flow chart before, or like a checklist. It's not just a flow chart checklist. He's not a flow chart checklist player. He's very, very good at playing outside of structure. I think he's just a brilliant player, and people are just looking for an excuse to hate on him.
Totally. I mean, you see the last pick in the draft who came into the game being able to go to his second and third reads. Like Jimmy G still doesn't do that. And I'm going to get to Jimmy G. I'm just going to go scorched earth on the Raiders. But
please do.
Yeah, but Brock Purdy is looking great. So I think that I'm taking the 49ers here. I'm taking it in a lower scoring game. But look, so with Takeda, is that Takeda saying that, Purdy's going to go for 4 touchdowns and 350? I'll give him 4 touchdowns. So let's say 28 to 10. I don't think the Browns are going to score much.
I'm in a similar position over here. I'm going to go with, your analysis was all spot on. I'd be preaching to the choir if I tried to add anything. I guess I'll just say Cleveland is not very special in my opinion. I think that Deshaun Watson might be who he used to be, is dying 1 week at a time. Apparently he's been medically cleared to play for the last 2 games, and he's just choosing not to. And there's discussions that does this have to do with something other than an injury? And I don't know. Watson, we already know from his time in Houston, he's that type of player. He's not shy about sitting out games and putting his foot down and saying, I'm not playing. And that's kind of seeming like what's happening. If you're medically cleared to play, I mean, I know that if Josh Allen was medically cleared to play, he'd be playing. And even if he wasn't, you'd have to hold him back from the field. He's that kind of player. I don't see that in Deshaun Watson, honestly.
No,
unfortunately.
But interestingly though, because if they could get him on egregious conduct for maybe for just sitting out, there was that penalty he had where he sort of put hands on the ref. They could actually get out of his contract. I'm not saying that they will or they'll be able to, but maybe they're building a case. Who knows?
It's worth it to look into. I mean, I don't want to speculate on this show, right? But it's definitely, the whole situation is just ugly. And the 49ers just couldn't be more polar opposites. I mean, Brock Purdy is just a dog. He's underrated. Somehow he should be considered a top.
The GOAT.
Nice. I think he should be considered a top 10 quarterback, in my opinion, at this point.
So fair.
Yeah, and I'm gonna take 49ers 31, Browns 6.
6, ouch. Dog walk of a game.
Yeah, gonna hit that under. Under. Oh, we're jumping around here. We're doing the Sunday night game early. I'm all about it, man. My Buffalo Bills at home in front of my own 2 eyes. You guys, I will be there. I will be thrown through a table by Bills Mafia. I promise you. I'll try to get video for next week's show. But I couldn't be more excited to be going to a game. We already talked about. I'm very excited. Really hope Daniel Jones is okay, but I couldn't be happier that I finally get to watch Tyrod Taylor play football in person. I
Jones is
love
out,
Tyrod
right?
Taylor. Yeah, he's out. He's been ruled out
Yeah.
as of today. So this game, I mean, it's a get right game for the Bills. I mean, look, their last really tough loss against an AFC heavyweight at the time, they were perceived as one, as the Jets. Losing Rodgers and the defense kind of coming back down to earth a little bit has kind of changed the media's perception of the Jets. But the last time they came off of a tough loss, they went out there and put up 35 on the Raiders, and then they went on a run. They lost again, another tough game. Jaguars in London, horrible. It took Josh 3.5 quarters to be awake, but when he was awake, him and Steph had that chemistry that they always have. I think Stephon Diggs is weirdly one of the most underrated players in the league because it's controversial to put him in your top 5. He doesn't get the same love that Jefferson and Chase and Kupp get, but I think he's better than, maybe not better than them, but he's more
I don't know about
consistent
JJ.
than, yeah,
I don't know
you're
about
right.
JJ, but everyone else, you're on the same level.
He's more consistent than all those guys. Like, he doesn't have dud games. He's just a dog. And I couldn't be more excited to be going to the game. I don't think there's much to cover from an analysis standpoint here. Honestly, I think Buffalo's gonna just destroy them. The Bills, even with the injuries, they still have a top 7 to 10 defense in the league. That remains to be seen if they could stay top 5. I'd like to think that there's still a conversation that they can get up there if scheme can overcome the lack of personnel. There's no guarantees. You're down. You go down from Tre'Davious White to Christian Benford. You're looking at Benford and Dane Jackson with Kyer Elam sprinkling in and Teron Johnson. Kyer Elam was terrible last week. He was like hard to watch.
Rough.
He's not great. Former first round pick as of a year ago, and was a healthy and active for a reason. I'm learning the hard way. But Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer,
heartbreakingly
they're old, but they're still, right. They're old, but they're still one of the best safety duos in the league. And then we have a great defensive line, and Von Miller's coming back healthy. Hurts to lose Milano, but like I said, Terrell Bernard's been playing better than Tremaine Edmonds ever did.
Did Von Miller take snaps in London?
He did. He was on a pitch count. He played a couple series. There's a lot of talk about the turf that they were playing on over there. Contributing to a lot of the injuries that we had. There was a lot of shocked Bills players that they would have professional athletes playing on that surface. They called it they compared it to concrete.
It's becoming a thing now that the whole sort of turf surface it's becoming a bit of a
It's a huge story right now, and I do hope that they fix it. I mean, it's unbelievable how these athletes have been begging for years for them to change out, and so hopefully we get there eventually. But
I think it'll take some time. It'll take some time, but I don't think we'll get there this year. But
right. But regardless, on the other side of the ball, Buffalo's pretty healthy. It took them a while to get going against Jacksonville, but they have those games. I think Ken Dorsey loses rhythm too easily. It's very, very difficult as a fan to watch. Like when there's just they're not. It feels like they're stuck in quicksand sometimes, Adrian. Like they're not calling the layup plays. They're not calling the gimme plays. It feels like they're trying too hard to force something, or they're trying too hard to establish the run. And there's a beautiful go between, that it doesn't necessarily feel like Dorsey stays in rhythm or has the best feel for the game at times. In my humble opinion, I'm not worried about it against the Giants. I think the Giants' offense is so atrocious, and they're down a starter. And I think Waller is trending to not play. I think this could be a bloodbath. My final score prediction is going to be 45-13.
I won't add much on. All I'm going to say, I have to say this because I looked this up real quick while you're talking. This is disgusting. Let me give you the rankings of the Giants. Passing 28th, rushing 29th, blocking 32, run defense 32, pass rush 26, pass coverage 31. They are in the bottom, bottom 3 on almost every category. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not good.
Yeah. So look, I won't add much. So what was your score? Just so I can note
45-13.
I'm gonna say 9-35 Bills way.
35-9. I'll take it. I'll take 5 touchdowns.
Yeah. I mean, wouldn't be surprised if that Josh Allen doesn't normally come out, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's out for the last quarter.
Yeah, it happens.
It feels like that kind of game. Alrighty.
Right.
I'm excited about this game. Colts Jags. This is I mean, even without Anthony Richardson, I'm still excited about this game. It's weird. Colts and Jags played in week 1, and they're playing again so soon. I really don't like when the schedule does that, but it's okay.
Yeah.
The Jags won that one 31-21. But Indy needed a defensive touchdown to get that close. But that's not the point, I suppose. They've become exciting to watch since that game because of Anthony Richardson. I mentioned kind of durability coming into question. I want to kind of ask that question because when you have an exciting player who's constantly injured, and I know we're only 5 weeks, so I'm not overreacting too much, but I am worried that he could be one of those players that's just always out.
Right.
Zach Moss last week. How's Zach Moss? 123 yards.
Unbelievable.
23 for 165. 2 touchdowns with Taylor only getting 6 carries for 18. I feel like hopefully they'll get Taylor a little bit more involved. I don't know if they're keeping him on a pitch count or whether it's just, Ursay kind of sticking it to him. I actually don't know what's happened in there, but Zach Moss looked like a man, unhinged.
Yeah, he
and
really
Minshew
did,
came
dude.
in. Yeah. And Minshew came in, he played okay, completed 11-15. And then the Jags, Trevor Lawrence is playing good. On paper, he's statistically not ranked amazingly. Some drops have really hurt him, and it's not Josh Ridley. But they are flying high to beating the Bills. I don't know if that confidence. Look, I don't know. Confidence, I definitely think plays an element, but I don't know if I put as much credit into confidence from a previous week as most people do. But I'll give the Jaguars this one 27-20, just because I feel like without Richardson, the Jags got a pretty good run D. And without Richardson there, Minshew doesn't have the same amount of sort of, I guess, explosiveness. Yeah, but he's also not a terrible backup. So yeah, I'll say 27-20 Jags way.
I think that's not a bad prediction at all. I think, the Jags definitely, they figured some things out on offense. It's very clear. The last 2 weeks, the Ridley and Lawrence connection is back. Lawrence is looking as good as he's looked. He had such a great game against Buffalo. A couple dumb turnovers, a couple big mistakes he made, hold down to the ball in the pocket, leaving it out to get stripped. He had 2 strip sack fumbles lost. So, he's got to clean that up. But, I mean, he didn't throw any egregious interceptions or anything. And on the other side of the ball, I love Gardner. I don't know if
You're a
Gardner
fan?
is. I'm a
Minshew
big
mania?
fan. I think he's a great replacement. I think he's one of the best backups in the league. I
I agree
feel
with that.
very confident for the Colts to not lose too much of a step. I think it's a good thing for their pass catching weapons for fantasy football's sake that Gardner is taking over because he's funneling the ball. He'll pepper Michael Pittman with targets. I'm sure he'll pepper Josh Downs with targets. I'm looking for the princess doesn't look like the next big thing anymore, he says. I think I'm looking for a good game from the Jags here, which is kind of surprising because every part of me wants to pick the Colts, but I just don't really see the Jaguars cooling off after how hot they were last week. I think I'm going to go Jacksonville 27, Indianapolis, I'll say 17.
What would you feel, and I'm sure the answer is yes, but would you feel differently if Richardson was playing?
Yeah, I think I would. I'm not sure if enough to pick the Colts to win, but I'd probably make it a field goal difference in the game instead of a 10 points. Yeah.
Yeah. So you see the Jags covering. I guess we both do. And it looks like we're both picking the over. So nice. Oh, no, wait. Sorry. I lie. Well, you might be the under. Right on the money.
I'm slightly under. 44. Yeah. And then this is me.
This is on you.
Seahawks, Bengals. Okay, another phenomenal game here. And I feel like you gave me all the good ones, man. I don't know what I did to deserve this, but
remember the first week I took all the good ones. Now I'm trying to
vaguely remember
retrospectively make up for it. Yeah.
It's a little makeup call here. I respect it, man. Seahawks at Bengals. Bengals are 3-point underdogs at home. If you told us before the season that the Bengals would be 3-point underdogs to the Seahawks at home, we would have called you crazy.
Oh yeah.
So, but that's okay because the Bengals looked damn good last week. They looked damn near almost in form. And I don't know if that's them playing the Cardinals and that's just how people look against the Cardinals. I know the Cardinals have been scrappier and more exciting than we thought they were going to be, but they were not that last week, and they're making all of us look dumb. We all picked the Cardinals to win that game. They were a very trendy upset pick, and we all have egg on our face now. And Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase had one of their best games that they've ever had as a duo. Chase with 3 tutties, beautiful, over 200 yards, unbelievable. And he said he's always effing open. And then he went out there and he was always effing open. He put his money where his mouth is. And I respect that. I think that's awesome. On the other side of the ball, the Seahawks, I'll say that they're underperforming. You know, they've had some good weeks. It looks like oh sweet. Armand is confirming that every single big player, Geno, DK, and Charles Cross, for the Seahawks have been cleared and they are playing. I was very worried. I didn't want to see any of the Seahawks. Yeah, Armand Schefter, man. But
yeah,
I think Geno hopefully has a get-right game. The Bengals defense hasn't exactly set the world on fire this year. The pass rush has been pretty dominant at times. They looked great against the Rams and against the Cardinals, so not so great against the Titans, but that's okay. That game might end up being a bit of an outlier. We'll see. I think I'm inclined to say that I think the Bengals are going to win this game just because I think Vegas is still hedging for the Burrow calf and for the Bengals slow start. But if they win this game, then correct me if I'm wrong, but are they 500?
I would have to check. So I'll check it now.
If they win, I think they're 2-3 right now, if I recall correctly.
You are correct.
If they win this game, they're 500, and for how left for dead they were, people saying they don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I think 500 at this stage, you take that if you're the Bengals, given how the season started. Armand prefers a sheet. I like that. That's funny. But I think I'm going to take the Bengals to win this game, and I'm going to take it in they've been in kind of a little bit more of a slugfest mode this year. It hasn't really been super pretty. I'll take the Bengals to win this game 27-22.
Okay. I like that. Yeah, I think you're spot on. I do like the Seahawks, and I don't put too much into. I just looked up their most recent results, and I don't put too much into them beating the Giants or the Panthers. So, but I do think that they they come together at the right times. The Bengals have had their slow start. Jamar Chase is looking like the Jamar Chase we love and missed. So, I think this will be closer than probably. I'm going to give the Seahawks the edge here. I'm going to say 30-28. I think it's going to be an exciting game. That's a
close game, and that's the over. You're saying go hammer the over.
Actually, should I? You know what I might say? I has this for a prediction. If I get it right, I'm actually going to note this. I'm going to say 31-28 in overtime.
Love that. I love that.
It's going to be an overtime game.
It has all the makings of one. Yeah, two underperforming teams who are seemingly hitting a stride right now. I believe the Seahawks are coming off their bye, which is pretty crazy, like having a bye this early.
Yeah, they're both weird teams in that, like, in any week you could see them coming out and beating anyone. Like, if they're on their game, they could beat anyone in the league. But then they could just come out and and no one would have been surprised if the Cardinals won last week. So, Armand, go and Seahawks with me. I'm on it, brother. Let's get it.
I'm alone. Alrighty. I'm on an island over here.
You are on an island. These are my NFC North rivals. So I'm going to try and be objective here. But these two teams, the Bears are coming a little bit right. I still don't overreact to 2 games. I don't think the Bears are good yet. But they've shown some signs of life. DJ Moore has looked fantastic. We can't deny that. He single-handedly won me both my fantasy teams last week. I had him on both, and he dropped 50 points. That was just delightful. Justin Fields looks more comfortable. He's making quicker decisions. And the Viking secondary is not amazing, but it has improved. So I think he's gonna find it a bit harder through the air this week. Khalil Herbert, I think Armand just confirmed before, is out. And then Justin Jefferson out makes the Vikings significantly less exciting. Wondering if there's a trade coming, especially if they lose this game. That Kirk Cousins trade rumors, I think, are going to get some fire added to them.
Oh yeah.
I know, a second. I doing 2 things at once. Kirk Cousins trade rumor. It'd be interesting to see. Look, I mean, I like Jordan Addison. I don't know your views on Jordan Addison. It'd be good to see him. So it'd be good to see him sort of step up. KJ Osborne's there next. Hawkinson, they're not completely hopeless in their receiving core. And Kirk Cousins is playing good football, whether you like it or not. Like, statistically, he's playing great football. I'm victory lapping. Is it all right? We've said week 1 was too early to victory lap. When can we victory lap on certain takes?
What's the take? It's a case by case basis.
Case by case. All right, hang on. Let me blow the whistle. Victory lap in this. Alexander Madison is not him.
Oh yeah. I'll give you that.
So,
You
yeah,
you lap away, sir. You can do 2
yeah,
laps.
yeah. He's been 4.3 yards per carry, 55 rush a game per game. He's not an RB1. I think he was a good compliment to when Dalvin Cook was on fire, and he would come in and he could still find holes and he still looked explosive. But I don't think he's a 3-down back. So I'm actually going to take the Bears to win this one. I just feel like they're coming together a little bit. They're coming together a little bit, and the Vikings, there's no game they haven't made a game they can't lose yet. So
Right.
uh, I will say the Bears. I think it's going to be a high flying game. Let's say 31 to 30, 34. Still don't think
Wow,
Justin.
man.
Still don't say Justin Fields is good though.
No, I'm so mad at you because I wanted to be all trendy and like I wanted to be all like hot takey when I picked the Bears to win, man. You freaking stole my thunder.
I'm all about that.
I mean, dude, what they just did to the Commanders on Thursday Night Football was embarrassing, man. The Commanders looked like
Oof,
dog water. That
they
was so
did.
bad. And the Bears looked good. Fields was dialing, man. I don't understand. Fields might actually be good, and I might have allowed you to victory lap your anti-Fields take too early because now Fields is looking like a damn menace. Now he's looking like
He
a damn
is.
problem.
I
He
still don't
is.
think. I still don't think he's good though. I still look. I'm Sam Howell, for example, has had some amazing games. Like, it doesn't make him good. I just let's not jump on board that the Bears are great yet. That's all. And maybe that's the North in me.
They just absolutely carved up the Commanders though, and the Commanders don't have a bad defense.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Look, you know
I
what?
don't know.
I
It was
accepted that because the Commanders' off defensive line is scary, and Fields was having none of it.
Yeah, they got a lot of talent, man. I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I'm gonna go with Chicago as well. I'm gonna say 37-29, and yeah, that's my
Bears
prediction.
way. Bears way.
Say again.
Say Chicago's way.
Yeah, 37-29 Bears. Yep. And I do want to highlight Armand had some huge breakthroughs in his weight loss journey. Proud of you, Armand. That's wonderful, man. Keep it up.
I don't know. We need some sound effects for that. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. And keep loving yourself. That's the most important thing. I love to hear about your journey, dog. Congratulations. Self
Maybe we
love
can get it.
is very worthy journey.
Yeah, maybe we
Are
can
you
get Jimmy's
ready?
word on this.
That's pretty staggering.
That is
What did
pretty
you say?
staggering. Good.
Yeah, it's pretty
You
staggering.
said staggering.
Yeah.
Freaking Jimmy.
Good job, Armand.
Freaking bot, Jimmy. I know, right? Next game, my
Ooh.
Texans, and he knows this. Adrian, man, the co-host with the Mo host. I don't know. I like it.
Nailed it.
My Texans are taking on the Saints, and the Texans are 1.5-point underdogs at home. Low over under 42.5. Adrian, you know who I'm picking here, bro.
Oh, I
And
know.
it's kind of funny because I'm also the resident Saints truther as well. So I'm kind of being pulled in both directions. But I just feel like CJ Stroud, we know who he is. We're seeing him for all his glory every single week. He is so accurate. He's making such good decisions. He set the NFL record for most consecutive passes to start a career without throwing an interception. He's funneling the ball to Nico Collins, Tank Dell. He's using Damian Pierce. Dalton Schultz is emerging. Devin Singletary, the motor, that's my guy. I love Singletary forever. On the other side of the ball, the Saints have just, as badly as I want to trash on them, they freaking dog walked the Patriots last week, man. What a game.
Oof.
And Carr with that injury, everybody thought Carr was cooked and had no shot of dealing, but he dealt. He absolutely dealt last week. And I think this is going to be an easy game for the Texans because I think the offense will do a good enough job scoring on the Saints defense. And I do think that the Saints will have some success against the Texans as well, but I don't think it's going to be anything crazy. My prediction is that the Texans are going to win the game. I'll say 27 to, I'll say 14.
Yowza. I think, look, I like everything you said. I'm actually going the Texans as well. So, sorry, you said 27 to 14. And that's the Texans. Wait, hold on. All right. Yeah, look, I think everything you said is on the money. The Saints D might give them a bit of trouble. In fact, they're actually the number one pass coverage defense at the moment. So their secondary is
You don't say.
which is
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
it's kind of sneaky. I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
So look, I think, but CJ Stroud has been playing great. He has been exciting. He's got a tougher defense to go up against this week, but I think he's gonna come good. So I'm gonna say 21-17. I'm gonna say Texas way as well.
Love it.
Yeah, and they've got a pretty good run defense. Not that Kamara's been overly explosive or anything, but I think they'll do well. So it's a goodie.
Hell yeah!
I got a special thing for this next game.
And this is all you, brother. Your favorite.
This is so look. We know
he's mad.
We know that actually I shouldn't say we know. You know that I like to get a bit drunk with power as my scab producer powers, right? And if anyone here were to read my DMs with Kevin, you would know. Sometimes I get a little bit. I get a bit in my bag with my tricks. So I have another one for this. So here's what I'm going to do. This game is disgusting, and no one deserves to have to watch it or listen to it. But so what I'm going to do is I am going to attach some dynamite to this game, give myself a minute to talk about it, and then I'm blowing it to smithereens. And you can talk about the pieces if you want. Let's just get some tape on there. I'll put the dynamite. Set the timer to a minute. Okay.
Love it.
All right. So we've got a minute to talk about this game and go. All right. So this is the only intriguing thing about this is a McDaniels Jimmy G revenge game. I can't see anything else about this game that really excites me. Davante Adams is just criminally underutilized for one of the best wide receivers in the game. You say what you want about Derek Carr, but Davante Adams was still Davante Adams last year. There was a play last week where he was lined up one-on-one against linebacker Preston Smith, and Jimmy G checked it down to I think he checked it down to Jacoby Myers. So don't even get me started on that. Josh McDaniels, you're 4 points up and you kick a field goal on 4th and 1, you could put the game away. You left the door open and the Packers lost it. Does not go to his second reads. He doesn't look downfield. He checks it down. But the only exciting thing in this team is Max Crosby, who was just all over the place against the Packers. Other side, got 10 seconds left. Bill Belichick is coming off 2 of his worst losses of his career. Mac might be benched after this if he has another dumpster fire of a game.
Prediction.
They have. I've blown it up. I don't know if I can predict it. I won't predict. That game is terrible. So
that was fun.
Yeah,
I like that.
That's the new dynamite game effect.
I love that. We need to have one a week.
Yeah, I had that drop ready last week, but there's no terrible games.
Yeah.
So I will just say this: the Patriots have not averaged 20 or fewer points in a game per game since 2000, which was Bill Belichick's first year on the job. They're currently averaging. They're currently averaging 11 points per game. So they are disgusting. So let's say in a terrible game, the Patriots lose again. The Raiders sort of look semi-competent. 6-21.
21-6. Wow, awful game. Yeah, I don't want to talk about the pieces, man. I'll give my prediction, but yeah, the Raiders. I mean, like you said, they tried to lose that Monday night game, and the Patriots. I feel so smart for calling that Mac Jones sucked this whole time.
Oh yeah, and I was like,
you too.
No, Mac Jones.
No,
yeah.
you jumped on the door. You made him a top 5 worst QB. Don't forget.
But I did say Bill O'Brien would fix him, and I said, he had his greatest rookie year, and blah blah blah. Cool.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
So what's your score?
My final score prediction for this game is going to be probably I'll say 20. I'll say 24 to 3 Raiders.
Yowza.
Yeah, I think Mac Jones should get removed from the NFL.
He'll
be a great backup.
If either of us get it right. Yeah, if either of us get that right, he's benched.
100%. Lions and Buccaneers. This is an exciting game, and I get to talk about it. So thank you for that, for not giving me the dynamite stick game. Buccaneers are actually one of the more, surprisingly decent teams in the league this year. Baker Mayfield's been dealing. Their defense is not bad. Their defense is putting up some good numbers. But then on the other side of the ball, you have Detroit, who is the darlings of the NFL, and we've been waiting for them to really round that corner. I feel like with their performance against the Packers 2 weeks ago, I feel like it's pretty safe to say that they have rounded the corner. David Montgomery is killing teams. Unbelievable how effective he's been. Jahmyr Gibbs was the change of pace back who was drafted at 12th overall. Who would have thought? Not me from a fantasy perspective.
I was going to say not a lot of fantasy owners.
I don't want to talk about where I drafted him and how badly he's hurting my team, but I don't really, don't cry for me. they know what they're doing and they're happy over there. They're 4-1. They're having a good start to the season. Yeah, I think this game is going to be not a shootout. I don't think Baker has it in him to keep up in a shootout right now. And I think the Lions defense is better than it gets credit for being. I actually think this year they're going to start to get looked at as one of those dominant defenses. I'm going to predict that this game is a final score of, I'll say 34-16.
34-16.
Detroit.
Yeah, it's they are like the Lions are bullies on their line. You know, their defensive line is great. Aiden Hutchinson making that Trayvon Walker pick look real bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree with you on this. It's funny. My score probably doesn't depict how I feel about the Bucks. I feel like they're far better than what this score is going to look like. But the Lions are just much to my chagrin in the North, because I do love the Lions from Hard Knocks, but they really are rounding out into the team we kind of expected them to be. So I would say 37-20 with some garbage time points.
Yeah.
I think the Lions take this one.
I think that's a solid prediction, brother. Your next game, sir.
All right. We are up to Cardinals at Rams. The plucky Cardinals.
Yes.
About to get a little less plucky. James Conner's gone to IR. That hurts. James Conner was the 6th ranked running back. I find that so like I still don't believe it. I still don't believe that he was.
He's been such a dog his whole career. I mean, the guy's got no quit in him, man. He's one of my favorite players.
Yeah. Josh Dobbs is playing good. He had a bit of a killer pick 6 last week. And their pass rush is terrible. They're ranked 28th.
Non-existent.
So, so you're going against the Rams. Stafford's playing good. He's not even listed on the injury report anywhere, which is lovely. So he's kind of back to himself. Cooper Kupp's back in the lineup. Goes for over 100 yards in his first game back. You know, the NFL is a better place with Cooper Kupp in it. So I'm really happy about that. You couple him with Nakua and Tutu Atwell, and they've got an offense that they've got an offense that could make up for a bad defense, and they don't have a bad defense. So I think the Rams are going to kind of bring themselves back into relevance here after a bit of a dog's breakfast year last year. Do you guys say dog's breakfast? Is that a thing for you? No. So if I were to say it's a dog water game, does that make it's dog's breakfast? Is just, yeah, it's kind of like just like a bad. It's just if something's a dog's breakfast, it's just terrible. I.e., the last year. Hold on a second, I've got something for this.
So dog's breakfast is how you say dog.
I've seen that. I haven't seen that.
I need a drop for you explaining Australian slangs the way that we have for me explaining young people terms.
Yeah, I'll actually get that done. That's a good idea. So dog's breakfast is just a bad game. Or it's just a bad insert thing.
So if I were to say like I didn't like something, I'd be like, man, I just tried this new salad at this restaurant and it was dog's breakfast.
Yeah, I don't know if it would work for food. I don't think it would work for
specific?
food.
Okay.
No, I think it's kind of like, like to say the Rams last year were a dog's breakfast. That's like, it's just, I don't know why. I don't know. We've got some weird sayings.
I love that. I love dog's breakfast.
I'm digressing, but can I give you my favorite Australian saying? I can't say it properly because it's got a curse word in it because it's Australian. But one of my favorite Australian sayings is, "I'm not here to F spiders." And it's basically saying like I didn't come here to F spiders. It's like, I'm not here to mess around, but I don't know why. I don't know where it came from.
You mean business. You mean business.
Yeah,
if you're not there to F spiders, you mean business.
Correct. But there's no
that's ridiculous.
Alternate. There's no like reverse, like when I am here to muck around, like I'm not here to F spiders. But anyway.
Yeah.
I digress. The Rams 30-20. I think the Cardinals will look okay, but I think James Conner out hurts him a lot. And I'm just feeling the Rams at the moment.
Yeah, 30-20 is good. I think it's going to be maybe a little, if we do get that plucky version of the Cardinals that you've been talking about. I like that term. I think that's Australian too. I think I'll go with
so many things. I think.
Yeah, I'll go with the Rams 27 to I'll say 9.
Oof. No plucky Cardinals this game.
Yeah, I don't think so. But I think I'm expecting that to be the norm for them. But they are so depleted with injuries right now. I just don't see them. I don't see them putting up much of a fight. And we have Eagles at Jets. Jonathan's Eagles versus Armand's Jets. Here's the thing, man. Yeah, it's not too often that the team that looks like one of the best teams in the league comes up against one of the teams that look like one of the worst. Hey, the Jets, they've been plucky. You want to talk about plucky? The Jets have been plucky. They lost their $1 million man on their 4th snap of the season, man, and they're still fighting. They're still kicking butt in these games with their great defense. They took care of business against Peyton. They beat my Bills in overtime. I think the Jets are I still don't see them making the playoffs. We talked about it would be a nice story if they did. I don't see it happening. And the Eagles are kind of ultimately underperforming. I did see some things I liked better from Hurts last week than I've been seeing. I think his juice is kind of coming back a little bit. I think their offense is going to turn a corner eventually. I don't know if this is the game to do it. I just don't see any world where the Jets can put up enough of a fight on offense to compete with Philly. I think Philly's going to win this game pretty handedly. I'll say Philly wins this game. I'll say 31-13.
Yeah, they're such a weird team, the Jets. You know, like they did okay against the Chiefs defense. They nearly won that game, if not for some
Should have
questionable
won that
calls.
game. Yeah,
I'm kind of like,
Wilson the fumble. Yeah,
and it says something about the Eagles that we say they're underperforming and they're 5-0. So I think
yeah,
Jalen Hurts is every bit as advertised. And that's to me, that's what good teams do. They find a way to win games no matter
yeah,
what, right? Even when you're on your off days, you still win a game, and when you go play a bad team, you beat up on them. And I think
yeah.
I think your prediction's pretty much. Now I'm going to give the Jets a little bit more credit. I'm going to say, 3 touchdowns is a big ask. Let's say 31-20.
Yeah, I like it. 11
Yeah.
points. So you got Philly covering the spread. And
Yeah.
Armand, we're sorry. We love you, and it's not personal. I want to pick you more often than we don't pick you, but can't pick you this week.
Oh, Jalen Carter's out. Well, that helps you a lot because he's been wrecking games. Can I tell you? Like,
Yeah, he's a
if
dog.
if Zach Wilson can have a little bit of comfort in the pocket and doesn't have to just scramble out and get all frantic, he just needs to be a little bit more comfortable there. That might actually work in your favor.
Yeah.
All right.
How many left do we got?
We've got 2 games to go, my friend.
Let's go, man. Let's go.
Let's
We're
get it.
flying.
All right, so
Your Falcons.
my boys. So we mentioned that Ritter had a fantastic game last week. Yeah,
Carved.
he did really well. But I say this, you can't. I can't take one game against his other 8 where he has not looked good. So
Right.
string a couple of these together. Show us you're a real deal. Can I give you something? Kyle Pitts went for 87 yards last year. Last week. That is the most he's caught in a game in the last 18 games, 87 yards. He hasn't gone for 100 yards. And this is Kyle Pitts. He came out like he's going to reset the tight end market. He's going to be a
draft pick.
Yeah, I think side note, I think we can call it on the word generational talent. I think when we talk about every year, there's a generational talent, and that's just not objectively not how that word works. Generation is once in a generation. So, with all that said and done, he's just not played up to where he needs to be, but they got him involved last week, and that's exciting. They're in a weak NFC South. They can kind of show a little bit of worth here. They can show that they can take that division. Not that that's saying a lot, but I do really feel like Ritter's going to hold them back this year. I really do hope they go and get the right guy next year. I hope they don't ride. Art Smith seems to be just like riding till he dies with Ritter, and I don't like it. It hurts me because I like the Falcons and I want them to be every bit exciting that they are. They've got such great weapons. Bijan Robinson every week. There's a highlight reel and an above camera shot every week of Bijan Robinson just snapping someone's ankles. It's awesome. Sam Howell, I've said this to you. I hate on pace stats this early in the season. On pace for 99 sacks this year.
Oh my God, that's disgusting.
I don't know if he's just like, he's got not pocket presence. That's the wrong word. He's got pocket awareness is at -0, -1,000. He's at 0. Whatever.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah. But as I mentioned last week, I think Falcons have no pass rush. So hopefully he's not hit as much because he's been sacked and hit more than anyone in the league. He throws some dimes, but he throws some turnover worthy plays that are just head scratching. So I think this will be close. I think the Falcons will, let's say 23-20. So they will just cover the spread and just cover the over, actually.
You're basically going with Vegas's implied team totals. That's a very, very chalk pick, and I don't hate it for this game. I'll go with a similar pick. I think the Falcons are going to win the game. I just think it's going to be a little uglier than you described. I don't really see the teams getting anything going. Maybe the Falcons will get the ground game going a little bit, but as you've said, Commanders do have a hell of a defensive line. They just haven't really been playing very special ball this year, and they did just get their doors blown off to
the Bears. So I think I'll go with Falcons 16, Commanders 13.
Oof, that is an ugly game.
Yeah, it's not gonna be fun.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be a fun watch.
It's interesting though. Like I think the Falcons haven't been the darlings that we wanted them to be. And I know B McFads was high on them as well. But look, they could get if Ritter can play like that, they could get some things going.
If Ritter turns the corner the way that Fields, look, if we go by trajectory, right? Fields had a good game and then he played the Commanders and had a great game. So if Ritter goes through the same trajectory, he should be on pace for 404. Yeah. I just don't know if that's the case. I'm looking at a little bit more of a defensive game. I think 16-13.
Be watching that game closely.
And last but certainly not least, we have America's team taking on West America's team. No, I'm just kidding. Nobody cares about the Chargers. I live in LA and nobody cares about the Chargers. It's crazy. I feel bad. They're San Diego's team. The Cowboys are at the Chargers. The Chargers. Dejected Jimmy. Dude, that's one of my favorite ones because he sounds so sad.
So sad.
Cowboys at the Chargers. Chargers are 2-point underdogs at home against the Cowboys. Will the real Dak Prescott please stand up? Because I've been hearing so much about how good he is. And I've actually drank the Kool-Aid. I've been in on him. I've drafted him in our legit dynasty in the first round of a Superflex league. I thought I got a steal. I was so excited. He's not really looking like that guy. And he's turning the ball over at a crazy clip. Their defense is great, but apparently the 49ers will make anybody look like infants. So yeah. I don't really feel like the Cowboys, are on that much of a good tear or that have that much good momentum. Meanwhile, the Chargers, Justin Herbert is making his case to be a top 5 quarterback. We need to see it when the lights are the brightest. We need to see it when, the games count the most. And this is a good chance for him to do it because the Cowboys, they're underdogs. It's a high over-under. This is Justin Herbert's chance to prove to me and to the rest of the NFL that he belongs in the conversation that he's already been inserted in. Personally, I foresee this game being a little bit more of a higher scoring affair than you would expect for a team that has some relatively good defenses. I think I'm going to go with Chargers 34. I'll say Cowboys 29, and I'll pick the Chargers to win.
34-29. Yeah. I'm taking the Chargers here as well. I think that they will come good. It's weird. Dak Prescott, I think the thing that I've loved about him in previous years is he had that sort of, I always say extra gears between the ears, and he had that sort of, I can read the defense and I'll beat you before the snap sort of thing. But he's just killing himself lately, and last year killed himself with those interceptions. So it's a hard one to kind of diagnose. I read an interesting stat, and I'm trying to remember it now off the top of my head, is that their wins have come against teams that are combined. This could be wrong. It's either 4-11 or 5-11. So they're beating bad teams, which is what you should do. But then you're getting trounced when you lose. And they got beaten by the Cardinals. Not that that's a great team. So I'll give the Chargers 30. You said 34-29. I'll give them. It is. I feel like it'll be a higher scoring game. Brandon Staley's defense couldn't stop a cold. So let's say. How about this? Let's give this a bit of a shootout. How about 31-37?
There you go. 31-37. You heard it here. Armand, the loss of Diggs for the Cowboys, all-pro safety or corner Trayvon Diggs, is where he can see Quentin Johnson doing most of his damage to the secondary. I agree with that.
Yeah.
I'm inclined to think Johnston and Palmer both have decent games. Keenan Allen, right? I think it's going to be a lot of offense. Dallas's defense is not all it's cracked up to be lately. I'm not saying that it won't be, but it'll be really fun to watch, man. This is a game that's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah. And that's us. That's our week 6.
We made
week
it.
6, baby.
We made it through another show. Kevin Phillip Fox and Adrian Revito, the Legit Football NFL podcast. Like I said, from Mama's Attic, we made it through, a little bit of jet lag. We made it through a little bit of scheduling issues. We made it through some terrible early show Wi-Fi, and we're still chugging, Adrian. We're still chugging. I couldn't be more honored to be doing this with you every week. I can't wait to do it from the comfort of my own studio in LA at home next week. But Adrian, how do you feel about the show? How do you feel about the NFL?
Can I come for our listeners just a little bit? Not a single mention. I'm just reading through I'm coming for the listeners a little bit. Not a single mention of the background. I thought the background looked cool. I was really I was happy with the background. I had a little moving legit football at the top.
Oh yeah,
Not a comment.
the background is beautiful, and nobody shouted it out. Adrian, he
Yeah.
scab produced a new background for us, and you guys didn't even congratulate us.
Yeah,
So
no one
we
mentioned
now
it. Yeah.
we now hate you all.
I'm a super vain human being. I live off the I live off being what's the word? I live off being
praised.
praised is the word, but the word I'm thinking of is I've lost it. And that's because I'm so upset.
Guys,
I'm blaming
guys,
that. No.
can we all just comment how handsome we think Adrian is? We
That
all
would
have
make
to
me
let him
feel a
know
lot
he
better.
needs it.
That would make me
All
feel
right.
better. I
Hey,
brought value from other people.
Brilliant show, brother. You get ready for the flood of annoying DMs and texts and photos that I'm going to send you from the Bills game on Sunday.
Can't wait.
I can't wait till you get out to a game. It's going to be really fun. Thank you, Armand. Thank you, Jade Dragon. Thank you to Cato. Thank you, everybody. David, we appreciate you all. You guys make this show what it is. Thank you to Adrian Revito from Down Under. I am Kevin Phillip Fox. And as y'all know, we are. Oh, hold on. I was about to do it, but I have to. Adrian Armand says you should be on the cover of GQ. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Legit Football NFL podcast, and we are